Good afternoon to everyone here. I just want to say welcome again to another program. And on this program, we're gonna be having an exciting guest who is just about to grace us on stage. We have Mr. Daniel England, who is gonna be on stage with us. One of those great athletes. Here we
There you
go.
go. All right.
You
Yes,
know,
sir.
yeah, as a schoolboy, this is the man that you'd want to be. At the schoolboy level. This man lit the track. From across Jamaica, the Caribbean, into the U.S. Making several of the Jamaica youth team. In terms of athletics, and he's our guest here on the platform. We're gonna learn a lot more about Sir England as this program continue and we unpack his journey as it Tycho said tonight, beyond the finish line.
Beyond the finish
But
line.
with me is no other than Dennis Blake.
Yes, sir.
And this gentleman now is where I say track and field athletes, you want to get to the place where everybody recognize you across the world, the Olympic. So two-time Olympian and Dennis Blake is here, who is hosting the program with me. This program is Real Talk, Real Money, and we just want to say we're gonna welcome everyone. As tonight I would say would be the first episode, and I also want to thank our hard-working team members behind the scene. And
Mhm.
Dennis can tell you we have the engineer this season that
Yeah, this is
these two young kids, two bright minds, one out of Jamaica from our alma mater states, also Hamptonian. And then we're going all across the continent to find someone way over there in Africa who
yes,
is
sir.
also behind the scene tonight. And we really want to thank these two. You guys will learn the name and so forth as the program continues. But Dennis, they have made us feel, like two old men, like we don't understand the social media space. But
Yeah,
these two young Gen Z, they are really helping us. And they said, guess what? With you guys having so much to give, so much to offer, you guys gonna need some quality. So just know that we have created now a YouTube page, we have created a TikTok page, an Instagram page, which we're asking you guys to follow as a journey is gonna unfold. And it's a journey where Dennis and I realize that we have walked different parts of life. Dennis, as you can see, is an athlete, a mentor, and his journey is much different from mine. For me, I'm a sportsman overall, and a cricketer, a nurse, and a father, a friend, you name it. But there's so much we have to give. But then we have to put in the entrepreneurial side of it. So when you talk about the money, it's a real talk, real
real
money.
money.
You know, everybody wanna make some money, no matter what we're doing. And if you're an athlete, if you're just a regular businessman, the end goal is to make some money. And with that, we have found ways to help to empower young individuals also to make money. And it's all about the journey. And with that, we have decided to bring different people on the platform who is able to act as a catalyst to help you get there through their journey, through their experience, the knowledge they have, and also the fact that you can partner with some of these people that we are bringing on scene. So I just gonna ask that after tonight, you guys just search out the Real Talk, Real Money on your YouTube, on your Instagram, and your TikTok page. There's gonna be a Facebook page, and with no delay, I just want to bring forth Dennis before we get to the man of the moment, Mr. Daniel England. Dennis, welcome, sir. Thank you for hosting with me.
Yeah, thank you for having me, man. I think this program set out to be a great program. I can actually feel it and see it already. And again, we want to give a shout out to our engineers in the back. Like you said, we'll see them soon, right? But again, the man of the hour is Daniel England, and we just want to make sure that he is comfortable. 'Cause he's trying to get comfortable right there, so I want to make sure that he's comfortable. Yeah, all right, Daniel. All right. So we want to get started because we have a hard stop at 8 o'clock. All right. All right. That you might be on. I think you might be on mute, isn't it?
Yes,
Yeah.
so Daniel England, I just want to say the first thing we want you to do is to just share with the audience, a little background of who Daniel England is, where you're coming from. Just give them a
Mhm.
background before I let Dennis start with unpacking the journey.
All right. So we we need some more volume. The volume kind of low. It's low. Yeah.
All right, what we're gonna do, Daniel, is have you go out and come back in. In the meantime, Dennis, we'll just have you share a little of your journey
All right.
while we have Daniel work on his mic. You could go out and come back, Daniel.
Okay. All right. So I can talk a little bit about my journey. So I started running track in primary school. Uh, and I want to say thanks to Mr. and Mrs. Roden, who actually saw the talent in me and decided that they would kind of harness my track abilities. And so in primary school, we would have a thing that we call sports day. I would compete at sports day, and I pretty much would do so well that they continue to push me forward. I went to BB Coke, which it was Junction Secondary School at the time. Now it's BB Coke High School. There, I continue running track, competing at the secondary level, and then I got a scholarship to Stets for 2 years. While I was at Stets, I compete at the boys championship twice. And again, I was fortunate enough to run with Daniel England. I'm sure that bring back a lot of memories having him on the program this evening. Um, but I never win a boys champs medal, so I'm not too happy about that. You know, I never win a boys champ medal. Come very close, but never win a boys champs medal. And that is my summary in a nutshell.
All right, uh, and then went on to represent at the Olympic. So, as I would say, it's not how you start, but it's how you finish. Daniel, you
Yeah.
could turn your screen and let us hear if you're on.
Turn the phone sideways. There you go. Yeah, it's still low. Still low. Hmm.
Yeah, I think you have a mic problem. No headpiece. Uh, Remove the headpiece then.
Yeah,
Unplug
yeah,
that. Probably that's the problem.
yeah. That might be the problem. Take the headpiece off. You're a lot better.
No.
Yeah. Uh,
Well, I think I think it's still on his Bluetooth. It's connected probably.
it's probably connected to your Bluetooth still.
All right. So while Daniel is actually organizing his phone, um I just want to share a little about who I am. And so I
I'm hearing hearing you, but not as loud as we would love to. But I mean, we probably would have to go with that, right?
Can you hear me now? No.
It's gonna be a very low. On my side, Dennis, I know it's very low. I don't know about
Mm.
you.
Yeah, it's low.
Can you hear me now?
It's a little better than what we had first. But we will just have to take what we have right here because uh,
Yeah, because I did disconnect the Bluetooth. So,
you might have to speak. You might have to speak a little louder than you probably want to.
oh, you want me to go louder? Can you hear me now?
Yeah, yeah, but then we can't see you when you come too close. We can. All right, all right. So we're gonna go ahead and get started. Um, so Daniel England, like what Ian was saying, tell us a little about your journey, and you were asking how far back we want you to go, but just tell us.
Well, I mean, pretty much then in England started from the Russell Primary back when I used to, that's off Maxwell Avenue. I started there. And then after Russell Primary, I went to a school called Whitney Lawley School. And then mash up, so they say locally there, mash up
Marcia.
Charles and then Earl McKinley and all those schools there. And then I went to Calabar High School. And I went to Calabar High School. As you can tell, the story started there pretty much at Calabar High School under the guidance of Earl McKinley.
Okay. Um, so I know that you have committed. Your commitment has been evident over the years. So can you tell us how you first got started in athletics? Was it somebody that inspired you, or how did that first started? You just see it as fun and you go out and try, or was it someone that really inspired you to run track?
Yeah, I'm sorry about this, guys, but definitely the track and field started with my dad. He's always a fan of track and field. So he's the one it's not just started. You just have to listen as back in the day and just kind of follow his instruction. And based upon his guidance and training, we kind of a little bit exceed expectation because the track itself in Jamaica.
Okay. Uh, I'm sure, like many other athletes, including myself, we have faced some challenges during that time and the process of trying to run faster than our peers. So, what are some of the challenges did you face coming up in Jamaican athletic system? How were you able to overcome them from the high school level?
You mean after high school or before high school?
During the high school.
But during the high school, there was not so much challenges in high school, because I have a great support team. Irv McKinley had a good team, and that's why I was so successful during that tenure. High school, I could say, uh, losing one race over 4 years at the championship. As you can tell,
Hmm.
it's
That speak volume, man.
I think based upon the support for McKinley and staff, I think this is the reason why I was so successful over during high school. But after high school, as you can tell, it was a struggle because of support, lack of support.
Yeah, and we probably going to touch on that a little later in terms of when you talk about the level of support after high school. I'm sure the Jamaican public would like to hear what that sounds like. You know what I mean? But we'll talk about that a little later. Um, what aspect of your training do you find most mentally or say physically demanding when you used to train? Because I know, we have like the Powell who was a great competitor. I won't say myself because I was in the shadows, but yeah, in terms mentally or physically, what would you say was more demanding for you?
But most of the morning was Monday training. Monday training was the hardest training in my life.
Yeah,
Monday, there's no come Monday you're gonna pass out.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
You know, the 500, the 600s. You know, sometimes I got rabbits on Mondays running a five. Sometimes I got rabbits running a six. And you have to repeat those, max out Mondays. So usually Monday workout usually the hardest, and we just tape out as we go. But usually Monday is the hardest training during high school.
I think here would be a good time for me to ask a question in terms of you saying Monday is always the hardest workout. Do you really think um, that work, or would you say that work for you in training? Because I'm sure things has evolved in terms of the the education, the machineries that are available and stuff like that. That people would now probably don't even consider Monday as the hardest training day. Do you think that? What do you think about that?
Well, not the usual be because usually track the track meets usually in Jamaica at least usually on weekends. So usually you try not to, load in the midweek. By midweek you're supposed to be tapering down, working on little
Speed.
feeder relays, skips and relay, or neutral life relays, work on those baton exchange Thursday and Wednesday. Monday usually fifth. Within the United States system, Monday works sometimes because as you can tell, sometimes we have meets during the week. So
During the week,
Monday
yeah.
is not really a typical traditional working day. But in Jamaica, Monday was the day to do your load.
Okay. So let's as you talk about college, while in college, how did you stay motivated during off season? Or if you were to have an injury or so, how were you able to stay motivated?
I'm sorry, repeat.
While you're in college, when you were in college, right? How did you stay motivated during the off season?
Well, our season was mostly tough, really. The way it's stay motivated is pretty much is if you don't produce in my day in college, you pretty much get kicked out. You have to sustain that 2.0 GPA, and also you have to bring points to the table. If they know you can at the bowl, usually you just don't get your scholarship back. So that was for me the motivation. I didn't
Hmm.
want to send back home. I think it would be a big
Big
disappointment
disappointment. Yeah, it's
not keeping that GPA or not, holds the standards in your field. So usually those are my two motivators is not to disappoint, not only my family but pretty much, earn my Kelly going forward.
yeah. I share the same sentiment too because I was on probation at one time for not running, um, not even close to the times that I used to run in Jamaica, and I had to train twice a day. So when the guys were sleeping, I rush out and go do some training, and then come back in and go and have breakfast. Yeah, but that was the tough part. You don't want to be sent back home because you're not performing both academically and athletically. So yeah, Ian, you have any question you want to throw in here before we move to the next point?
Well, what I wanna do is I'm gonna have you control this session, Dennis, because on my side I'm not hearing him as clearly. So I think you're gonna have a lot more questions to unpack in the fact that you're an athlete. But what I'll ask, Daniel, at this moment, is just to tell the crowd or the audience what it feels like to wear those Jamaican colors. And I could also ask you the same question to Dennis, because every youngster, and they look forward to representing their country. And when you put on that Jamaica jersey, it feel like you're walking on cloud nine, if there was a cloud nine. That's just a feeling. So I want to ask you guys, how does it feel, as an individual when you make that Jamaica team and you're wearing that Jamaica jersey and that crest across your heart or your chest? And then Dennis, you could take most of the interview through. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, for me, Dennis, meaning on the senior level, on the junior level. However, that was the goal. I mean, to me, if you in track and field, the goal is to make your national team, and that was the first step of trying to be successful in your field. For me, to wear a national jersey, it could be shortstop or the whole sweat. It was an honor. Back then it was just something, accomplishment. You feel like you did something. You're not just participating, but you also contributed. So for me, wearing the national colors was definitely a pride. Know that your family could say, "Hey, Daniel is wearing the jersey." It's a sense of pride, and I think most athletes will start that way. It was not really so much about money back then, but it's the idea of representing the country was such a big deal that a lot of people would just be happy just to make the team.
Yeah. I mean, you pretty much echo everything that I probably would have said as well. Uh, that was the major goal, really, for me when I was running. I just wanted to be a part of the national team because as a kid growing up, that was one of my, I had three goals, and that was one of them that I want to represent Jamaica. Um, and uh, and so when that happened, I can say I fulfilled one of my goals. But it also again it's pride. It show a level of commitment, a love for country, love for self, love for family, a love for the Jamaican people. Um, I think when you look back at what is happening now and the the enormous amount of success in track and field now, I'm sure wearing the Jamaican jersey now, probably show more more pride, and people are probably more happier than when we were wearing it now, because you can see the effect that it have not only within Jamaica but outside of the Jamaican arena. Yeah. So yeah. So let's move on here. So, um, were there any particular races or season where you felt or believe you were right on the edge? I mean, earlier you talk about the senior level, that you could possibly make the national team like while you were in college.
Yeah, yes. There was an era when I was in good shape, good form. I think it was either 91 or 92. I want to say 91, 92. I was in good shape, and I was trying to get back to Jamaica. I was in Arizona at the time, Central Arizona College, back in the day, but I couldn't come up with the airfare to make it to the trials. I was short the funds because, like, as you know, in the college level, you're not allowed to have money unless you get it otherwise from parents or guardians, but you were not allowed to make money during college, right? So it was kind of hard to come up with. I remember exactly the fare was 760 USD just to get back to Jamaica. So I struggled because I couldn't come up with the funds.
Mm,
I came short, and at the time I was running 45, I think 45.7 at the time.
mm,
I was 20.8 at the time. So I was getting good, good participation. the trials, and because I didn't go, it was definitely a spiral from there. It really broke my heart because really and truly, I felt like I should have made the team somewhere somehow, and that never come to fruition. So it was almost a heartbreak. I mean, it is broke my heart that I could never make the team. So at that point, I was very disappointed.
Right. I mean, I think not only you were disappointed, I think the country, the island itself was disappointed. And I'm glad you say that out loud that you were disappointed. But were you disappointed with yourself, or were you disappointed with Jamaica, or were you disappointed with the association?
No, I was disappointed. I mean, honestly, it's not myself really because I know I wanted to be here. I wanted to be there. You know, it was just a disappointment because I didn't have the support. I didn't have a lack of support. Urban McKinley they came up with help with some fundraising, but it was just not enough in the timely manner. By the time I start to ask around, later on was not enough. It was not enough time
Hmm.
for that whole trip to happen. So I was very disappointed in the lack of support um, for me to reach my goal, and that's what happened. Really.
Mm. Yeah, because I remember back then, my own experience is that I went home and I make some national team it was, and I I went to the office to get my ticket to come back. Because once you make the team, they pay your way back. If you don't make the
Right.
team, you have to find your way back. But I went to the office to get my ticket, and I was having problem. And a certain guy came in. He works over there, and he came in and he said, "Dennis, you all right?" I said, "No." He said, "What's the problem?" I said, I need my ticket to go back to school." And he said, "So what is the problem, man? Give the man a ticket, man. Give the man a ticket." So I was just so happy that somebody came at the time when they did to really help me get my ticket back. God, when you really look back at it, man, they really do us bad, man. But anyway,
Yeah, I mean, because really and truly, they told me, make the trip, and on the way back, they would give me a ticket. But right now, they cannot give me a ticket, right? So I'm like, okay, all right, I'll work on it. But really and truly, man, it was kind of difficult because remember, most athletes, track and field athletes, we come from a poor background. It's not like
hmm
we came from a rich background that can contribute to or well-being. We were just relying on the system and our talent to live. So it was kind of difficult back then because the resources, such as financial, wasn't plenty at all. So those are the struggles I know I faced back then. But in high school, I didn't have that problem. The support was definitely there, and that's why sometimes I wish, honestly, I wish I could stay. I wish I could stay in Jamaica. I think
hmm
maybe my career would be
more
more
successful.
successful in the senior level versus the junior level.
Okay, yeah. So I'm sure emotionally that take a toll, or especially when you see athletes that you have beat at the trials. I mean, at the boys boys champs, and then you see them making national team, knowing that you are much faster. I can just I can just imagine. Well, um, if it's any consolation, I didn't pay my way to go to Jamaica when I first go down there in '92. It is two coaches had to come together and pay my way to the to for the trials. Yeah.
Right, and I bet it was hush hush. They couldn't even say anything.
It was hush hush. I could even
Right,
yeah.
right.
Yeah. So that's not good at all.
Yeah. It was very difficult. I mean, honestly, because like I said, it's not like nowadays. You can get any money anywhere. You could even get a loan from the bank. But now,
Yeah.
well, back then you couldn't even get a loan nowhere.
Yeah.
You know, you know, your social security good was not not that
Not
strong.
that strong, exactly. So would you say that is what causes you to step away from? Would you say that caused you to step away from track completely, or?
Yeah, the disappointment of not making a national team outside of high school. For me, that's I think that's when you run. That's when you continue to run. Until reality kick in. Reality kick in and say, listen, obviously track and field is not end of the world. Life goes on, but what goes on is education. Not sports. So I realized, and the reality kick in with me that okay, so track and field, I didn't make the goal. You know, can you hear me?
Yeah, I'm hearing you.
Yeah. So track and field, I didn't make the goal. So at this point, I'm saying, all right, let me concentrate on my schoolwork. So at the end of the day, I have something to fall back on because obviously, I have obstacles, hurdles to overcome.
Hmm.
So once, I didn't see the support going forward other from the college itself. So I I mean, I wasn't inspired to train hard, run hard. It was not a motivation for me anymore.
Yes. So talking about your coach, Herr McKinley, I'm sure he probably was disappointed.
Yeah, because I told him, and he was very angry at the time. I think it was, be honest with you, is if you don't know, you don't know. I was still a youngster, so I
Hmm.
don't know because I know about you, but I never booked my own flight, never ever.
Hmm.
All you know is show up here, here's a ticket, you're on a plane, do what you need to do, come back. But I don't know about you, but I never even purchased a ticket. So the idea of me purchasing a ticket, it was lack of preparation because that was never taught to me.
Yeah.
I didn't know which airline to go. I didn't know like the travel agency. I think it is. You know, so it was a struggle for me because it was never told to me how to do those things. So I think Irmaki was upset with me because it was lack of preparation in a sense. Okay, if you know you're coming home, this should be a 6 month, 4 month um, mission.
Hmm.
And I told him I didn't have the money. I couldn't get the money. So
Yeah.
I mean, he was frustrated, but we get over it though. We got over it.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I can just imagine, especially considering, not only that he's your coach, but he's also a quarter miler as well. So he probably was expecting great things from you. All right, let's. When you look back at your experiences, right, and knowing what you know now, do you think the selection process for Jamaican's national team is truly fair and transparent to all athletes?
I mean, it's not seamless. To be honest with you, it's not seamless at all because I know one time, for example, not to not to get away with the question. I know one time I got invited, right? And this is what frustrated me. I got invited to the mutual games, right? And my potential college coach um, bought me a ticket, right,
Mm-hmm.
to run at the mutual life games, right? And I saw older kids like Howard Davis, Raymond Stewart. These guys, they put them up in the hotel, right? And they didn't even give me no hotel reservation. What I mean? These guys got hotel reservations, and I'm like, okay, I got a ticket. That's all I got.
Yeah, yeah.
You know,
They
you
say,
know what I'm saying? The system at the time wasn't fair enough for those who upcoming. But if you were a star,
hmm,
you made the team.
yeah.
You made the team. And I know there are stories that people that even um, made, for example, in the finals, made the team. And
Yeah.
it could be for various reasons. Who knows? But I know sometimes it's not a seamless process, and there's different reasons why people made a team. Some don't made a team. And trust me, I look at the team. I was like, this guy made a team. I'm like, this is the guy that couldn't carry my spikes. And got to make a team. And I say, what, man, it is what it is. But definitely, it could be better. I'm not saying it's fair. Definitely the system could be better in selection regarding transparency, and
Mhm.
everyone in the loop. Because, like I said, I know people were making a team that really, truly don't even come sixth in the finals. But they're on the team, man. So they're on the plane, we call it. They're on the plane. So,
Yeah, I know. I know that happened in 1992. There's a, I think even up to today, that guy is still like really, really and truly upset, um, because he made it in the top six in the 100 meters, and there was a high school boy at that time, Rudolph Mighty.
yeah, Rudolph Mikey.
Yeah, Rudolph Mighty was the talk after you left, I guess, right? And they took him over that guy. They pushed that guy all the way down to seventh
Right.
so that they could carry him. And up to today, man, he's upset. And you know what? You know why it is so true? He know he came like fifth. They push him all the way to seventh so that they could carry Rudolph Mighty. And up to today, if you talk to him about it, he's very angry about it because that was his only chance to make it to the Olympics. And then years later, at the Penn Relays, um, Rudolph Mighty went over to him and apologized because you see what happened. You know, we talk about unfair gameplay twice. He went to the Olympics and he pulled up on the backstretch. He didn't even get to hand off the baton.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And it's not his fault,
No, no,
really.
it's not
It's
his
not the
fault.
athlete's fault.
It's not his fault.
It's just the system itself or the process itself. Because at the time, my knowledge was you go with the hot Navi that was hot, you know.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? You decide to use the hot. Now that not to mention, if you have some connection
Yeah.
on the team, some interest on the team itself, on the selection team. Those athletes know they go. You know what I mean? But I could never. I can't imagine a Raymond Stewart back there come fifth and still don't make the team, or come
Mm,
seventh and
yeah.
still don't make it. I think he would still be on the team.
Yeah.
That's so the system were back then, because they believe in athletes that somewhat, if they're performing, and even though the trials is not their best time, they still believe that they can do better in the Olympics or the games,
Hmm.
not just World Games, Paralympics, whatever it is. They would do better. I guess that's the hope.
Yeah.
Everybody's hope,
So, all right. So we're going to transition now into something current, something more current that is happening. So, many athletes feel, a sense of pressure or pride, competing as part of the Jamaican team, right? So, given the recent development of four of our national athletes or professional athletes, they are migrating to, I would say, greener pastures, um, getting ready to compete for Turkey. What is your take on that?
But I mean, we come a long way. We come a long way. We come from no money to some money. Everybody's making money. Everybody's making money. Everybody's marketable now. You know, and you know what? At the end of the day, man, sports is business now. It's not just a loyalty thing. And people need to understand not to confuse loyalty versus eating food.
Hmm. Yeah, that's true. That's true. True.
Right, right. Because we grew up, well, for my era, it was the love of the sports, right? And where we come on, we ride with it. The little petty cash we get, the little gifts we get, we ride along with it. You know. But nowadays, it's a business.
Mm-hmm.
Like I explained to the kids that once you go pro, there's no more friends. You have to treat yourself like you're providing for your family.
Mm-hmm.
And if you don't, you're gonna be right back to your mama house in the basement.
Yes. Yes.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So for those athletes that migrated out, due to lack of resources, I'm not blaming them. They have to do what they have to. And at the end of the day, sports is a business, and we need to understand that if we don't market ourselves well, I'm open, or I can lead into this, I'm open. No, there's no more hope anymore. It's more like, if this guy can help me enhance my product, enhance my skill set, why not? Why not take advantage of that?
Yeah, because isn't it is it doesn't it equate to someone taking a better job opportunity, or we coming to the United States for opportunity? Um, to me, it equate to that, because here is somebody who is offering me what, in the tune of $500,000 a sign-on bonus, and I don't know. I mean, I talked to some guys, and they're talking about, you know there's no loyalty and all that type of thing. And I try to explain to them, say, you have to make a decision. You have to make a decision. If you're not getting any help, and you're getting $500,000 plus all the other benefits that goes with it, that is hard to give up. That-
Exactly, because to me, I'm not lying to you. Even I guarantee you, if someone come to you and said, "Listen, I don't care if you're technology or a carpenter or handyman," and they said, "Listen, man, I have a place in Dubai that needs rebuilding as a handyman,
Mhm.
right? I need to work for Dubai." It's the same thing. It doesn't mean you're not Jamaican. It means that
Exactly.
you're providing for your family.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
So at the end of the day, I don't care if you leave Jamaica in part of you, and I don't know about you. I'm still Jamaican. I really believe that's how I feel. So
Yeah.
even though I'm doing transactions, or performing, I mean, look at it. Merlin Ati did the same thing.
Hmm.
She went to two different countries. So you can't tell me Merlin Ati's not Jamaican.
Right. And it's funny you said that, because during the conversation with this particular athlete, former athlete, he was saying, I told him, I said, but look, Merlin Ati did the same thing. He said, well, Merlin Ati is Jamaican queen, and she has done this and she has done that and all that. I said, but it's the same thing. She went to the Olympics, and compete for that country. I think it's Slovenia or somewhere over there. Um, so she did the same thing too. I don't know. I just don't understand why people cannot see. I don't. People don't see the logics behind why these kids make this decision. And I don't think it was an easy decision for these guys. I don't think it was an easy decision for them to make.
I'm sure it wasn't an easy decision, but end of the day, like I say, for me, the things have been revolved. The sport's been revolved. You cannot operate on a higher level on 50K or even 100K to be successful. You understand what I'm saying?
Hmm.
Whatever level of the sports, it comes with a higher bill. You
Yeah.
know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
A massage set is
Hmm.
up to $200 a pop. Back then, maybe you could get a massage therapist for these things people don't understand. There's so much stuff behind the scenes that you need for you to be successful in the next level. And people not gonna contribute with maybe the ice. Ice bag.
Ice boy.
Ice bag. Go out McDonald's at the time.
Yeah.
Ice bag for $1. It's really tough.
Yeah.
There's
Yeah.
such thing as ice bag. Usually those things costs money. Supplements cost money. Hydration costs money.
Hmm.
Accommodation costs money. And if those things don't provide it to you, you're not going to be successful. I don't care what talent you have. That arena would not be successful without the support of those things.
Right. And I think I strongly believe that it's a wake up call because I am telling you, I can actually see more athletes leaving and by extension, coaches. So they really, the J3s, and I don't even know much about the JOA. I don't even know what their purpose is really. But they need, and the Ministry of Sports, the Ministry of Sports and the government, they're going to have to do something or else they're going to lose a lot more athletes.
Yeah, the landscape have to change. Definitely,
Have
the
to.
landscape have to change
And it have to
because
change quickly.
it have to change because really and truly, like I say, it's not about loyalty per se. It's about you trying to be the best athlete you can be. And like I say, you cannot just okay, I'm gonna eat rice because I want to wear the black, green, and gold. But rice not gonna take you anywhere, bro.
Mm.
Rice not you eat your rice alone not gonna take you anywhere. When you know you can eat, you know, maybe a steak somewhere else. Because any day I'm saying to you, no matter what, right? Even when those athletes finish their tenure, they still believe they're Jamaicans.
Yes, absolutely.
That's the
Absolutely.
real thing. And
Yeah.
why not pay the athletes? That's why I don't understand the noise. Why not pay the athletes? There's some countries just to make the Olympic team, they get land pass on
Yeah.
TV. Just to make the Olympic team.
Yeah.
But, India, you make the Olympic team, you get something for that. And that's all the athletes are asking for. Help me out.
Hmm.
Turn me a ball. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean, like Jersey, come on. You can get Jersey off Amazon now.
Yeah. And a lot of I know for a fact when I was training and stuff like that back in Jamaica sometimes um, it was it was challenging for me. Not alone there are some people who have to drive, they have to take maybe 2 or 3 taxis to get to, or buses to get to training, and then after training they have to find their way back home. And it was, I don't know, man, it was hats off to us back in the days. Hats off to us back in the days, because looking back at it now, I tell you, it was tough.
Of course, it was very tough, man. I'm telling people that, dude, I was put in Arizona. If I didn't know Arizona was that far, we pull a hamstring on the way to the plane. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because we just don't know. We just did it for the love back then. We did it for,
Hmm.
family pride, school pride, me.
Yeah.
Everybody said, boy, yeah, we got Stetson, we got Calabar,
Mm.
ESC. I represent, you know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Even though, you're going to say, how much Calabar man made the team? How much ESC
yeah,
man made the team? How much, you know what I'm saying?
yeah.
So you travel having that sense of pride, ready to support your school and your family, you know. But it was tough back then, man, because like I said, if you make money, you can't tell nobody. You have to be hush hush,
Hmm.
which helped you. Remember one time I was homeless, and coach put me in an basement the month. You know what I'm saying? Until I figure it out. And then I have to get a little job to sustain the next transition, the place I was living, going to. I had to get a little restaurant job, right? And coach said, listen, we can't keep you for a month, but I need my job, and my family need a job, so I can't keep you more than a month. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, let's go back because people would not believe that the Daniel England was homeless.
I was homeless, bro. I was homeless for a minute. I mean, I remember. I mean, I could only share so much without going to jail. But you know what I mean. But I remember in the summer, I had to find places to go. And I remember during the holidays, I have to print up my classmate that lived nearby the school.
Mm.
Like, hey man, can I stay with you because I can't go home? I have nowhere to go. You know, and then you would stay there until you find out. You're living with, with the Crips. I was staying with Crips at the
Mm.
time. You
Mm-hmm.
say, God, you say, hey man, we'll be right back.
Oh
And
yeah.
you ask them about that. Then it's like, oh, you're good? Like, yeah. Like, all right, we'll be right back. Come
Oh,
back, it's a guy's, shot in the back, shot in the leg. And you're like, man, this is not me.
gotta
But
get out of here.
they say, coach, man, I'm in a bad situation here. And you leave from one house to his basement, until I listen. Coach said, listen, I'll get you a job, work at the job, find you a nice place. And I went from house to house, man.
Hmm. I remember. Well, my experience is a little bit different. I know in the summertime, we were required to leave the dorm. That was that was a given. But what saved us is because Blinn College had so many international athletes. You can't send them back to Africa. You know what I mean? Most of them were from Africa or in the Caribbean. You can't really send them back, so they had to make provision for us. And the dorm mom, one of the dorm moms stayed on campus. So we were able to stay. That is what saved us. As a matter of fact, my first year at Blinn College, I had to ask my aunt who was living in New Jersey to purchase me a ticket so I could go up there for the summer and stay with her. And I got a little job at McDonald's and was working there. Um, when I went back to school, uh, like Thanksgiving, we have nowhere to go. So we, just like you, we would ask friends if we can come with them and all that type of thing. So I understand completely what you're saying. I understand completely what you're saying. You see, these are the things that the public need to know. They don't know these type of things. They don't need know these type of things. And when they know these type of things, they will understand why some of the decisions that athletes made, why they made those type of decisions. You know.
Yeah, I mean, trust me, bro. I'm not lying to you. If Turkey came to me with signing bonus 500,000, I'm not lying to you.
Yeah.
That would be a no-brainer.
It's a no-brainer. I don't.
That would be a
It
no-brainer.
don't have to be 500,000. It could be less.
Hey, 500,000 look good that day.
Yeah, I know, man.
You know what I mean?
500,000.
Because at the end of the day, man, like I said, it's no disrespect, no disrespect at all. It's to me, it's just disappointed that other countries invest in their athletes so much, and for me, we are. I don't care what you say. We are the spring factory of the world. You know what I'm saying? We have we have athletes can compete with everybody in the world. You know what I mean? And we're not eating the same. We're not on the same table eating the same food they're eating.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? So to me, it's like more like a disappointment in the sense that why can't we just say make the national team, come back, we have a piece of land, we can build our home spot, we get something for our family that we could leave from generation to generation. You can't say why, you know, Dennis Blake, is Olympian, and the man have a little place in can catch,
Mm-hmm.
courtesy your country. And that's all that athletes are asking for. Is asking for something that they can say, hey, I did this with pride, you right? I'm running loyalty, I'm participating, right, for my country, you know. So I'm doing my piece, you know what I mean? But like I say, it's a lot of things moving going on, such
Mm-hmm.
as, we don't market ourselves well as as a as a nation.
We don't.
We
We
don't
don't.
market ourselves well, and that's to me that's one of the loopholes or lack of, I should say,
Hmm.
when it comes to reward based upon loyalty. You know.
Oh, absolutely. And the bottom line is that other countries, other people are reaping what we should be reaping, what the Jamaica should be reaping. They slap the Jamaican name on something and it sells off and they make bag of money. Um, I've seen it. I've gone to places, even here, them selling something that look like a beef patty and it's not beef patty. And we have to go over there. We have to go over there and tell them, say, what is this? And to Jamaican beef patty. I said, no, this is not Jamaican beef patty. I said, no, don't be telling people that this is Jamaican beef. It's not Jamaican beef patty. You know what I mean? So, stuff like that. I know we only have just a few more minutes to go, but there, in all of this, in all of what we just spoke about, in terms of the the challenges, the difficulties, um, there are some lessons to be learned. What are some of the lessons in some of these disappointments and so that you want to share with
I
us?
mean, the lessons I suggest or make note of is basically, preparation. You know, whatever you do, prepare for it. Do the scenarios. If this fail, what you can fall back on. If you're doing sports, your preparation is academics. If sports don't work, you have academics. You know, marketing yourself well, marketing. Do a lot of marketing. Sell it. I coach a high school locally here, right? And before the season start, we did four fundraisers, right? Four fundraisers before the season start.
Mm,
How many high school or institution do fundraiser in a half season?
mm,
So the program could be successful. You
yeah,
know what I mean? Because to me, that's what makes you successful based upon your resources. It's not the fact that you're Daniel England or you're Dennis Blake, right?
yeah.
Unless you the lottery, I don't know about. But really, you need as much resources for your whatever you're doing be successful.
And that would be the same message that you would send to like upcoming Jamaican athletes, right?
Yes,
Same.
marketing, right, and fundraising, marketing and fundraisers.
All right. So we are right at the end. Is there any final words for the Jamaican sports community or for those who continue to support your journey in whatever you're doing?
I mean, like I said, my advice, just like I said, preparation is the key to everything, right? Just don't take no for an answer. Keep knocking on the door, and one of these days the door will open. Don't be so eager to give up, but just know that you know sports is not everything. You know what I
Hmm.
mean? Sports is not everything. There's life after sports. At the end of the day, there's not going to be another Shelley or another Boldy for a
Boy.
long time.
Hmm.
Those 3 years, 4 years up, four Olympic. That's hard.
That's hard.
Some
Yeah.
sports will only take you maybe 10 years. And what do you do after that? After 10 years.
Yeah.
So my ideal is market yourself well. Prepare yourself well. Do everything with pride and try to be the best in whatever you do. Try to be the best person in that field, and then you will see the success. But
Hmm.
definitely hard work is definitely it's not a comfortable position, but definitely you will see some form of
A
seeing
reward.
at the
Hmm.
end of the light at the end of the tunnel. So yeah.
All right, Daniel, we come to the end of our interview, right? Appreciate you, man. Happy to see you as well. Your journey reminds us that success isn't only about medals, it's also about resilience and character. So, thank you for sharing your story. Uh,
Hey, thanks for having me. Tell me sorry. I mean about the audio, man. I apologize, man.
Yes, yes. No worries.
We try to get it better.
I'm sure we'll have you back on sometime.
Yes,
Yes, appreciate it. Thank you. Peace.